Hey babes, it's Soul Bloom, and today I wanted to talk to you about projects. If you're a person who does a lot of projects, and you know what I mean, like art or any kind of creativity, you probably have like a backlog. If you are among the great number of people who will start a project and be enjoying it, but not get finished with it, and then you put it away. And instead of going back to it next time, you get inspired to do something else. And then the list of projects that you're currently working on grows. And so eventually you have so many projects waiting for you to complete them that you feel kind of overwhelmed about it all. So I am here to help. So part of the issue for many of us is that we have this backlog and we get anxious about it. Or like, oh my gosh, it's still allergy season. Remember how like I was doing an itch counter last time? Yeah, I'm not going to do that this time, but I'm going to try to control my itchings. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. And I just took my allergy medicine, so it should be kicking in soon. Okay, so part of the issue for those of us who develop this backlog of projects is that then we start feeling bad about ourselves about it. We're like, oh, I never finished anything, or, you know, like, oh, I'll never be able to get all these done, or, you know, like, I'm one of those people. You know, we get this, like, thought in our heads. It's in psychology, they refer to it as cognition, like a maladaptive cognition. So it's a thought that's not helping you. It's part of the problem when you want to change the fact that you have all these projects waiting for you. Because really, like, they can take up a lot of space and a lot of head space too, like physical space in your house, and then you're feeling like, oh no, I'm looking around and there's so much clutter, but also like they take up a lot of headspace. So you're thinking about, oh, you know, I should really finish that. And it draws your attention and brings your energy down every time you notice the project there waiting for you, or every time you think about it or get reminded of it. So first, we want to change that cognition. So in changing the cognition, we want to change it from whatever of those thoughts that I already voiced that you may be identified with, or any thought of your own that, you know, really you don't feel good when you think that thought. You want to change it to something that does work for you. So for me, what that's been is, and it's not just like the thought I changed things to, it's a thought that's actually really true. I've developed gratitude and an appreciation for my process as an artist. So basically, when I think about the projects that I have in the works, I remind myself with gratitude that it prevents me from having artist's block. So you know how sometimes like people talk about artist block where, oh, they just can't create, they're not feeling inspired, they're you know, they have nothing that they're working on right now, and they get really stressed out about that, because it can feel like unpleasant to be stuck and to want to be creating and not have any ideas. Sorry, so much itching, allergy season. So if you think about it, my process is embracing gratitude. So you may have, you know, maybe artist block is not something that you've ever given any thought to, but you have something that you can be grateful for about it. So think about that. And if mine works for you, then go ahead and adopt that. You know, like, hey, this is really cool when I, you know, am not working on this writing project that I'm doing, I can be doing some painting, you know, or some illustration, or whatever it is that you do. So being grateful for that you don't have artist block is a great thing. You could also be grateful that you have a variety of interests or that you're so inspired. It's a great gift to have a great imagination and to be inspired and creative. And that's something that a lot of people wish for, you know, inspiration. Like, I've heard people say that to me many times, like, oh, wow, you're so creative. How do you think of it all? You know, and it's because I let myself, like daydream about, oh, how cool would it be if I made this? And so, just appreciating that gift is a good access to gratitude. Another path to gratitude that you could have around this particular topic is look at the access to resources and materials that I have, whether that's like, oh wow, I have enough money to be able to afford, I'm just going to throw out some ideas there because, these are maybe things I don't have, but a lot of people have a Cricut machine and they love that. And so, that costs money. A lot of people have like a sewing machine, and that costs money. Photography equipment costs a lot of money. A lot. A laptop, maybe that's where you do your writing, or maybe you do journals. Even if your materials are what you would consider humble and they didn't cost a lot, just having the gratitude that you have them, and like I tend to sometimes think of my grandparents who grew up during the Great Depression, and they did not have much at all. And so they grew up not like throwing away things that could potentially be useful again. Like if you hadn't fully used a piece of paper, writing on it until it's fully used and then recycling it, or if something came in a really nice, jar that you could use again, doesn't have to be really nice, but they would repurpose that. They did a lot of repurposing, and so I tend to think about stuff like that. And a lot of people today as well, present day, don't have much, and don't have access to materials. So if you're looking around and you're like, wow, I have access to a lot of materials, that's amazing. That's something to be grateful for. Okay, moving on to the second part. So we've got the cognition part taken care of. We're grateful and we're moving our thoughts over to gratitude there. Then there's the behavioral component, right? So, and you're wondering, oh, how are you going to conquer this one? Well, the way that I did it was I just picked one project to start with. And let's be honest, I picked the project that I thought I was least likely to complete. I took something off of a shelf and I was like, okay, well, this has been sitting here for maybe a decade and I've done very little work on it ever. It was a kit somebody gave me, and it was like a latch hook rug. So what I did, I took down that project and I started working on it and adding to it. And I got to a certain point and I was like, wow, the progress is really incredible. This is really neat to see how a person makes a rug. Wow. And I also realized at that point that I had gotten to my limit with it. I had gotten to the point where I was grateful to be able to see like how cool this kind of is, and I was done. That was what I needed to get from it. Like, okay, now I know how these rugs are made. Okay, so I just had a sneezing fit, so I went and got a sweater, and hopefully I won't have another one. So I got to the point with that latch hook project where I felt like, okay, I'm done. Even though the project wasn't done, I was done. And it's probably more likely that I would have finished it if I had been the one to choose the project for myself to start with, but it was a lovely gift, and I'm grateful that I got to try something that I would not normally have tried. And it's okay to not like everything that you ever try. I packed up that project, I took it to the thrift store. So maybe somebody else, got to try it. Maybe they threw it in the dumpster at the thrift store. I don't know. It's out of my hands. I tried it. I got done with it. And I let it go. And so then I moved on to the next project. And I can't remember what that was. But I started trying to finish projects. And I just kind of developed this idea of, I have a whole bunch of projects to finish. That's what I need to focus on. It's another task of shifting focus and shifting cognition to some extent. So instead of focusing on, oh, what new can I generate? Because I've got that part going. I am creative. I'm generating new content in my head. Not like, YouTube content, although I'm doing that now too. But, I'm thinking like, oh, this would make a really great painting, photograph, or whatever. But the part that I needed to focus on is finishing things. And you can kind of curate that process for yourself by mentally labeling it as, I'm building a portfolio. I'm going to take photographs of, or if your art is photography or project or whatever, then you would put the photographs, of the stuff or the photographs that you've taken all together and create a portfolio that you can show people or not. You can have a website or not. You don't actually have to show anybody, but if you collect your work together and make a portfolio, that can help motivate you to finish more things. So that's one way to do it. Another way that's less achievement focused, although it still is achievement focused to some extent, is enjoying the self-esteem boost that you get from finishing a project. So I have had a couple of yarn-based projects. I knitted long panels that I sewed together to make a quilt. And it wasn't intended to be a portfolio piece or ultra beautiful. I just, was trying to use up some yarn I had inherited. And I made this amazing quilt that's warm and cozy and comfortable, and I'm so proud of it. And when I think about it, look, I'm smiling. And then I used up more inherited yarn. Yep. So this is a twofold thing. I was holding on to boxes of yarn, right? And so I used them up. And so that took care of that space issue, right? And I created some things that are, I don't want to say more usable, because obviously I used the yarn to create, and the process of creating is valuable in and of itself. Being able to sit down and make something out of raw materials is this beautiful act of creation, of power, of beauty, of expressing yourself and your soul and your agency. And I don't mean government agency, I mean your power to do in the world. That's what you're doing when you create. Being able to make something is just this soul-giving, life-giving, not soul-giving, soul-enriching, nourishing experience, you know, and it makes you feel more alive and whole in the world to create something. And I made another thing out of yarn, which was exciting because, like, to me, that's one of the most raw material things you can do. Like, take fiber and turn it into, so I made a rug as well, and it's gorgeous. It's this beautiful, beautiful braided rug. It's just amazing to me, being able to make practical, usable wares out of raw materials. Same with clay, like working with clay. It's basically soil. Like, I know the soil scientists are going. Feel free to post your soil science comments about what clay actually is in the comments below. But yeah, you take this stuff out of the ground, refine it, and trust me, I've done that. I'll be posting videos. Make it into something and put it in a kiln, and you have pottery that you can use. So, like, having a lot of appreciation for the process and having a lot of gratitude that you're practicing as you create, but just do it. Like, you don't have to, I was gonna say you don't have to do these projects perfectly. You're not going to do these projects perfectly. The essence of life is none of us is perfect. None of us does things perfectly. Do it messily. Do it at all, you know? Especially, like, if it's a project like, for me, the latch hook rug. It was a sweet project, but it wasn't, like, calling my soul, you know? So when you are working on something like that, if you're working on something like that, or you can just go, yeah, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this project. And you can just let it go, and that's fine. And then it'll find the person who really does need that project and who has been waiting for it and looking for it and wishing for it. It will find them if you let go of it in a way that somebody can find it, you know? Like, give it to a thrift store, put it on eBay, sell it. The sentence I'm trying to finish here. The projects that you don't care about that much, that aren't, like, calling your soul, feel free to do them haphazardly. Feel free to do them messily. Feel free to just do them at all or not do them at all. But those are the perfect ones to just kind of get moving. Get a regular schedule for your creating. That does not have to be, you don't have to have, like, tons of discipline to do that. Arrange an art night with a friend, like repeating, you know, weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or something, just so that it gets you in your, you know, space of creating on a regular basis. And then you will find that you are creating more often. When you get the impulse, like, I want to do a project, I want to work on something, draw yourself to, I'm going to work on one of the things that I wanted to finish. I'm just going to sit down with the materials and see where I get to. Ride the impulse, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it now. And then do it. Don't give yourself that couple seconds or minutes of hesitation to change your mind. Just start towards it right away. There's a great TED Talk on this. I'll try and link that below. But she talks about, like, when you have an impulse to do something or go meet somebody or something, there's, like, a couple seconds where you're still motivated to move forward to do it. Ride those couple of seconds, you know? So, like, if you're like, oh, I want to go work on this illustration, immediately get up and start walking towards it. It works. Start walking towards it, go get out, you know, the pad of paper that you've been using or whatever. So that takes care of the behavioral component. Let me know what you liked about this video. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will hit the like button and subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you actually see when I post a new video. I'm going to be posting more about feng shui, getting things done, and holistic wellness and well-being. So I wish you all the very best. Beautiful blooming soul.